The corridor was quiet, only the sound of the human's boots echoed against the stone walls. He had taken a wrong turn while delivering supplies, but he did not know that yet. The halls of the alien palace were confusing, twisting like a maze. He only wanted to find his way back, but instead he found a door half open. Curiosity pulled him closer. He stepped inside, thinking it was another storage room, but what he saw made his heart stop. In the center of the room stood an alien girl, young and graceful, her body uncovered by the ceremonial robes she was meant to wear. Her skin shimmered like silver in the dim light, her hair fell like dark rivers over her shoulders. She gasped as she saw the human, her eyes wide with shock and fear. No man of another species was ever allowed to see her like this, not even by mistake. The human froze, his throat dry. He opened his mouth to explain, to apologize, but no sound came out. The alien girl let out a scream, sharp and piercing, a sound that made the walls tremble. Her people believed such a scream called the spirits of judgment. Guards rushed in, heavy weapons in their hands. They saw the human standing there, his face pale, his eyes locked on the alien girl. The girl pointed at him, her voice shaking but loud enough for all to hear. He has seen me. He has broken the sacred law. He must bond with me forever. The human's heart raced, his mind filled with confusion. Bond? Forever? What did that mean? He stepped back, but the guards closed in around him, their sharp weapons raised. The alien girl pulled a thin cloth around herself, her face burning red with shame and anger. The guards dragged the human into the main hall of the palace. Whispers filled the air as aliens gathered, curious and furious. The girl followed, her steps slow, her hands clutching the cloth tight against her chest. She avoided his eyes, but he could feel her trembling. An elder stepped forward, his long robes brushing the floor. His voice was heavy with age and authority. Young one, you were seen by the human, is this true? He asked. The girl nodded, her voice barely more than a whisper. Yes, he saw me, without the robes. Gasps spread through the hall. The elder's eyes turned to the human, cold and judging. You have broken the law of our people, he declared. By our custom, there is only one path left, bonding, eternal and unbroken. The human's lips parted, his voice finally breaking free. I didn't mean it, I didn't know. But his words were drowned by the crowd's angry cries. To them, his mistake was no accident, it was fate. The girl lifted her head, her eyes meeting his for the first time since the scream. There was sadness there, and fear, but also something else. Acceptance. She spoke, her words soft but clear. From this day, you are mine, human, and I am yours, whether you want it or not. The hall fell silent, all waiting for the elder's command. The human stood in the center, his heart heavy, his fate sealed by one forbidden glance. He thought of Earth, of freedom, of choice, but here, in this alien world, a single mistake had changed his future forever. Hook. The elder raised his staff high and shouted, the bonding begins at dawn. The human sat on the cold stone floor of the chamber, his hands tied with glowing bands. The guards had thrown him there after the elder's harsh judgment. All night the echo of the elder's voice haunted him. The bonding begins at dawn. He did not know what bonding meant, but the fear in the alien girl's eyes told him it was no small thing. The doors creaked open, and she entered, wrapped now in heavy ceremonial robes. Her face was pale, her silver eyes lowered, but her steps were firm. 2 guards followed her, but they stayed at the door. The girl moved closer, stopping just a few steps from him. You should not have come into that room, she whispered, her voice shaking. The human clenched his fists. I didn't know, I swear, it was a mistake. Her lips pressed together, as if she wanted to believe him but could not. In our law, mistakes do not matter, she said. The moment you saw me, uncovered, our lives became bound. He blinked, still not understanding. What does bound mean? He asked. Her eyes lifted to meet his, and for the first time he saw not anger, but sorrow. It means you are no longer free, she said. It means you belong to me, and I belong to you, until death. The words hit him like chains. He shook his head. That's insane. I didn't choose this. She gave a bitter laugh, soft but sharp. Do you think I chose this? Do you think I wanted some human stranger to be tied to me forever? Her voice cracked, and for a moment she looked younger, weaker, like a girl caught in a storm she could not escape. The guards shifted at the door. Impatient, she lowered her tone again, almost a whisper. If you try to fight the law, they will kill you, and they will kill me too, because I was seen, his breath caught, kill, you too? She nodded slowly, it is our way, better death than shame. The human's chest tightened, he had come here to work, to survive. Not to die in some alien ritual, but now he saw her trembling hands clutching her robes, and he realized she was as trapped as he was. She was not his enemy, she was a prisoner of the same law. Suddenly a deep horn sounded outside, its echo shaking the walls. The guards stepped forward, unlocking the chamber doors. It is time, one growled, his alien voice rough like stone grinding. The girl stiffened, then looked at the human one last time. I am sorry, she said, but once the bonding begins, there is no turning back. Her eyes glistened with unspoken words, fear mixed with something fragile, almost hope. The human stood, his wrists still bound, his heart heavy with anger and confusion. He wanted to shout, to fight, to run, but the weight of the alien law pressed down on him like iron. The guards marched them into the great hall. Hundreds of aliens filled the seats, their eyes glowing in the dim blue firelight. At the center stood the elder, tall and stern, holding the staff of judgment. The human was pushed to his knees beside the girl. The elder raised his staff, his voice booming across the chamber. By the sacred law, he has seen her, and so he is hers. The crowd roared in approval, their voices like thunder. The human felt the world closing in on him, the alien girl trembling beside him. Hook. The elder struck the staff against the floor and declared, tonight, under the moons, the bond shall be sealed in blood. The hall was heavy with silence after the elder's words. The human knelt on the cold floor, his wrists burning under the glowing bands. The alien girl stood beside him, her face hidden under her ceremonial hood, but he could see her trembling. The elder's voice had spoken the sentence, the bond shall be sealed in blood, and the crowd accepted it as destiny. The human's heart pounded, his mind screamed to resist. He had come from Earth only for work, for trade, for survival, not to be chained to an alien forever. Yet every eye in the chamber watched him like a beast in a cage. If he refused, he would die, and if he died, she would die too. The girl turned her head slightly, whispering so only he could hear, you still have a choice. Her voice was soft but sharp, you can accept the bond, or you can fight, but if you fight, both our lives will end. Her words twisted inside him. Why should his life be tied to hers? Why must one mistake cost them both so much? He looked at her hands, clenched tightly at her side. She was frightened, but beneath that fear he saw a spark of defiance. She was not just a victim of tradition, she was a prisoner of it. The thought stirred something in him, a human instinct to protect, even if he did not understand why. The elder raised the staff again, his deep voice filling the hall. Let the human speak. Let him accept the bond before the moons rise, or let him fall into death. The crowd murmured, waiting for his answer. Some shouted for blood, others whispered of fate. The human forced himself to his feet, though the guards pushed him down again. He lifted his chin, meeting the elder's eyes. What if I refuse? He asked, his voice echoing in the hall. The elder's eyes narrowed, his voice cold. Then you both will be executed, for shame cannot live. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The human turned his head toward the girl, and for the first time, he saw tears shining beneath her hood. She whispered again, her voice breaking, if you refuse, I die with you. Her words pierced him deeper than the elder's threats. His chest tightened, his thoughts running in circles. He could try to escape, but the guards surrounded him like wolves. He could fight, but even if he survived, she would fall. And yet, if he accepted, his life would be bound forever. A prisoner of an alien law he never believed in. The crowd grew restless, chanting louder, bond, bond, bond. The sound shook the walls, a demand that pressed against his skull. The elder raised his staff once more. Speak, human, will you bind yourself or will you die? The human closed his eyes, his breath heavy. He thought of Earth, of freedom, of the life he once had, but he also thought of her, standing trembling, her silver eyes filled with fear. He realized she had no more choice than he did. Slowly, he opened his eyes, his voice low but steady. If I accept, what happens then? The elder's lips curved in a grim smile. Then the ritual begins, and the blood shall make you one, body and soul, never broken. The hall roared again, the crowd drunk on tradition. The girl looked at him, her lips parted, as if she wanted to say something but dared not. In that moment, he knew one thing. Whatever his choice, his life would never be his own again. Hook. The elder lowered the staff, and the drums began to beat, slow and deep, as the voice of destiny thundered, at the next moonrise. The human must choose life with her, or death with honor. The moon hung high above the alien city, casting pale silver light across the stone walls. The great hall had gone quiet, the voices of the crowd fading into the distance. The human was taken back to a small chamber, guarded by 2 warriors at the door. Inside, the air was heavy, filled with the sound of his own heartbeat. He sat on the narrow bed, wrists free now, but freedom meant nothing. Tomorrow his fate would be decided. Either he would accept the bond, tying himself forever to a girl he hardly knew, or he would die, and she would die with him. He buried his face in his hands, struggling to think. How could a single mistake, a single glance, have led to this? He remembered Earth, the crowded streets, the laughter of friends, the feeling of being free. Now all of that felt like a dream, fading further with every heartbeat. The door creaked open, and he lifted his head quickly. The alien girl stepped inside, her hood lowered, her silver hair glowing faintly in the moonlight. The guards allowed her through, perhaps believing she had the right to see him before the ritual. Her steps were slow, her eyes avoiding his, but he could see she had been crying. You should rest, she whispered, her voice trembling. He shook his head. How can I rest, knowing what comes at dawn? Her lips pressed together, then parted as if she wanted to speak but could not. Finally she whispered, I did not want this. Not for me, not for you. Her words struck him. He had thought she was his jailer, but she was also trapped. He asked quietly, what happens if I refuse tomorrow? Her eyes darkened, her voice almost breaking. They will kill you in front of everyone, and they will kill me too, for I brought shame to my people. The human clenched his fists, anger burning in his chest. All this, just because I saw you? She nodded, a bitter smile flickering across her face. Our law is old, older than memory, but its chains are heavy, and none dare to break them. Silence filled the room, broken only by the soft hum of alien lights. The girl finally stepped closer, lowering her voice to a whisper. There may be another way, but it will cost you everything. His eyes locked onto hers. What way? She hesitated, glancing at the guards outside the door, then leaned closer. During the ritual, if you choose me willingly, it gives me power, power to defy them, she said. Her eyes glimmered with something fierce, not just fear but determination. If you choose me, not because they demand it, but because you decide, then together we can break their hold. The human frowned, confused yet drawn by her words. Why me? Why put your hope in a stranger? Her voice softened, because no one from my people would dare. And you, human, you already broke the law by accident. Maybe you are meant to break it completely. He leaned back, her words echoing in his mind. Could he truly defy an entire world's law? Could he trust her? Yet in her silver eyes he saw truth. She did not wish to own him, she wanted freedom as much as he did. For the first time since this nightmare began, he felt a spark of something new. Choice. The girl straightened, her hands trembling as she pulled her hood over her head again. Think well, human, she whispered, for when the drums call at dawn, you will either save us both, or end us both. She turned and slipped out of the chamber, leaving him in the pale light. The silence wrapped around him once more, but now it was not empty, it was heavy with destiny. Hook. Outside, the deep horn sounded again, and the guards murmured, at sunrise, the blood bond begins. The sunrise bled across the alien city, turning the skies gold and red. The human was dragged from his chamber, the guards' grip like iron on his arms. He was taken into the main square, where hundreds of aliens had gathered, their eyes glowing with excitement. The drums thundered, slow and deep, echoing in his chest like a second heartbeat. At the center stood the elder with his staff, the alien girl beside him, wrapped again in ceremonial robes. Her face was pale, but her eyes were sharp, watching him as if trying to send him a message without words. The elder lifted the staff high, his voice rolling like thunder. The bond cannot be spoken, it must be tested. By the trial of trust, the spirits shall decide. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The human's stomach knotted. Another trial, another trap. What kind of trial? He muttered, but the guards shoved him forward before he could ask. The girl stepped closer, whispering quickly, do not fear, stay near me. The elder struck the ground with the staff, and the stone beneath their feet split open. From the crack rose a gate of fire, swirling with strange alien light. The trial begins in the desert of beasts, the elder declared. If the bond is true, they shall return together. If false, they shall be torn apart. The human's heart pounded. He was pushed into the blazing gate, and the girl followed. In a blink, the world shifted. The cold stone hall was gone, replaced by burning sand and endless dunes. The air shimmered with heat, and strange cries echoed across the horizon. The girl steadied herself, breathing hard. This is the trial, she said, her voice low. We must survive until the horns call again. Only then will they bring us back. He looked around at the empty desert, sweat running down his face. Survive? Against what? He asked, but the answer came too soon. From behind the dunes, shadows moved, and fast. The sand trembled as alien beasts rose from the ground, their bodies covered in sharp scales, their eyes burning red. The human cursed under his breath. Great monsters. The girl pulled a small blade from her robe, her hands shaking. Stay behind me. But the human stepped forward, grabbing a broken spear left half buried in the sand. You're not fighting alone, he said. The first beast lunged, claws tearing through the air. The human swung the spear, striking its side, while the girl stabbed at its legs. The battle was brutal, the beasts circling, their roars shaking the ground. The girl stumbled, one claw grazing her arm, and she cried out, falling into the sand. The human threw himself in front of her, blocking the beast's strike with the spear. His muscles burned, but he stood firm, refusing to let her fall. Together, they fought back. Step by step, he struck with raw strength, she with swift precision. For the first time, their movements matched, like two parts of one will. When the last beast finally collapsed into the sand, the desert fell silent. The girl lay breathing hard, her silver eyes wide as she looked at him. You protected me, she whispered, her voice filled with disbelief. He dropped the broken spear, panting. We protected each other. For a moment, the weight of the law, the trial, the danger, all faded, replaced by something simple, something human, trust. But before relief could settle, the ground shook again. The largest beast yet rose from the dunes, its shadow covering them both, its roar splitting the sky. The girl stepped forward, but the human grabbed her hand, pulling her back. No, he said firmly, this time, I'll protect you. Hook. The giant beast charged, its eyes locked on the human, and the trial of trust reached its deadly end. The giant beast roared, its mouth opening wide to show rows of jagged teeth. The human tightened his grip on the broken spear, his arms shaking from exhaustion. The alien girl held her small blade, but she looked at him with fear, knowing the monster was far stronger than both of them. The ground quaked as the creature charged, its claws sinking deep into the sand. The human pushed the girl aside just in time. The beast's strike missed her by inches, throwing up waves of hot sand. The human rolled, stabbing with the broken spear, but the weapon barely pierced the monster's thick scales. The beast roared again, striking him with its tail and sending him crashing into the sand. Pain exploded through his chest, but he forced himself up. He would not die here, not now, not while she was still in danger. The girl rushed to his side, her silver eyes burning with panic. Stop fighting alone, she cried, you'll be killed. For a moment, her trembling hand rested on his, her eyes held his with a strange intensity, and suddenly he felt warmth spread through his body. Energy surged into his arms, his wounds burning but also closing slightly. He gasped, staring at her. What did you just do? She pulled her hand back quickly, as if ashamed. Her voice dropped. I gave you my life energy. It's forbidden, but I had no choice. The human's mind reeled. Forbidden? Why? You just saved me. The beast roared again, charging toward them, but now the human moved faster. He dodged the claws, stabbing at its leg, and this time the spear sank deeper. The girl joined him, slashing at the beast's other side. Together, they struck again and again until finally the monster collapsed, shuddering, before sinking into the sand. Silence fell, broken only by their heavy breathing. The girl dropped her blade, falling to her knees. Her robes were torn, her arms still bleeding, but her eyes ever left his. You feel stronger now because I gave you part of myself, she whispered. That is the real meaning of the bond. The human froze, his chest heaving. All this time, I thought it was just a law, just tradition, he said. But it's real, isn't it? She nodded slowly, her silver hair falling across her face. Our bond is more than law, it's power. It ties life to life, soul to soul. He stared at her, realization sinking in. So this ritual, it's not only to control you, it's to make people like me tied to you forever. Her voice hardened, her sorrow turning to quiet anger. Yes, the elders say it's sacred, but the truth is it was made to control us, to keep our people bound, never free to choose who we love. The human's fists clenched, anger boiling inside him. You mean, they forced you to follow this because of power, not faith? Tears filled her eyes, but her voice was steady. Yes, human, and once we bond in blood, I will never have a choice again. I will be yours until death. The words cut into him. He had not asked for this, but now he saw the chains clearly, not just on him, but on her. For the first time, he did not see her as the one binding him. He saw her as the one in chains, longing to be free. Before he could speak, a horn sounded across the desert, deep and sharp. The sand shimmered, and the blazing gate opened again. The trial was over, and they had survived, but survival had revealed something greater. Truth. Hook. As the gate pulled them back into the palace, the human looked at her and whispered, "Then maybe it's time someone broke your people's law." The human and the alien girl stumbled out of the blazing gate. The desert heat faded, replaced again by the cold stone of the palace hall. The crowd erupted in cheers and gasps, for they had survived the trial of trust. The elder's staff struck the floor, the sound sharp like thunder. "The bond is true," the elder declared, his voice heavy with power. "The spirits have judged, and they have returned together, body and soul." The crowd roared in agreement, but the human's stomach twisted. He looked at the girl, who lowered her head, her hands clenched tight. He knew the truth now. The law was a cage, the ritual was chains. They had survived not because of fate, but because they fought side by side, and yet the council would twist that survival into proof of the bond. The human's heart pounded as he realized something terrifying. If he did nothing, both of them would be bound forever. That night, he was placed in a guarded chamber again, but the girl came to him, slipping past the watchful eyes of the guards. Her face was pale, but her voice was firm. "We cannot wait until dawn. If the ritual is completed tomorrow, neither of us will ever be free." He stood, stepping closer. "Then what do we do?" Her silver eyes glowed faintly in the moonlight. "There is an old path under the palace, forgotten by most. My grandmother told me of it before she died. It leads beyond the city walls." Her voice dropped lower, trembling. "If we escape through it, they cannot force the bond." The human hesitated, fear and hope clashing inside him. "Escape? They will hunt us, won't they?" She nodded, her lips pressing into a thin line. "Yes, they will never forgive us, but at least we will be free, at least we will have a choice." His chest tightened. She was willing to risk everything, her honor, her safety, even her life, just for the chance to choose her own path. He thought of Earth, of F. Freedom, of how easily he had taken choice for granted, and he realized he could not let her face this alone. The guards outside shifted, footsteps echoing down the corridor. The girl quickly grabbed his hand, her touch warm, steady. "Come with me now," she whispered, before they locked the chamber fully. Her grip was desperate, but her eyes burned with determination. They slipped through a hidden crack in the wall, crawling into the darkness. The passage was narrow, carved from stone long ago. Dust and cobwebs clinging to their robes. The sound of the crowd above grew faint, replaced by the drip of water echoing in the tunnels. The air was cold, heavy, but with each step he felt lighter, as if hope itself guided them. The girl whispered as they walked, her voice soft in the dark. "My people call this the path of exiles. Those who refused the law long ago walked here, but none ever returned." The human glanced at her. "Why tell me this now?" She looked ahead, her voice trembling. "Because if we succeed, we may become the first to live free, but if we fail, at least I chose this myself." They reached a cavern, lit faintly by glowing stones. The sound of rushing water filled the air, and ahead lay a broken bridge across a deep chasm. The girl's breath caught, her hands shaking. "This is it. Beyond that bridge lies freedom." The human tested the old ropes, frayed and weak. It could barely hold them, but it was their only way. He looked at her, his voice steady. "We'll cross together, one step at a time. Trust me." Her silver eyes met his, filled with fear but also trust. Hook. As they placed their first steps onto the creaking bridge, distant horns blared above. The guards had discovered their escape The bridge swayed dangerously as the human and the alien girl moved step by step, the ropes groaned under their weight, and the boards cracked beneath their feet. Behind them, horns echoed through the tunnels, the sound of the guards closing in. Every breath felt like a race against time. The girl gripped his hand tightly, her silver eyes wide with fear. "If we fall, there is no coming back," she whispered. The human forced a smile, though his own chest was tight with terror. "Then we don't fall," he said firmly, pulling her forward halfway across. A sudden snap rang out, one of the ropes tearing free. The bridge tilted, throwing them against the side. The girl screamed, clinging to him as the boards cracked again. The human held her close, steadying his footing. "Go," he shouted, pushing her forward. She shook her head. "Not without you." They moved together, one step, then another, until finally they stumbled onto the far side, collapsing against the stone. For a moment, relief washed over them, but it didn't last. From the shadows ahead, armored guards emerged, their spears glowing in the dim light. Behind them, more guards crossed the bridge, surrounding them from both sides. The girl gasped, her voice breaking. "No, they found us." The human clenched his fists, ready to fight, but there were too many. The elder himself stepped forward, his staff glowing, his eyes burned with anger, his voice sharp. "You thought you could escape the law. You thought you could deny the bond." His words echoed in the cavern, heavy like chains. The guard seized the human, forcing him to his knees. The girl tried to fight, striking at one of the guards with her small blade, but they caught her wrist and tore the weapon away. She cried out as they dragged her beside him, her hood falling to reveal her pale, terrified face. The elder's gaze softened only for a moment as he looked at her, then hardened again. "You shame your ancestors," he said coldly. "You risked everything for this outsider, but you will not risk the future of our people." He turned to the human, his voice sharp as steel. "And you, human, will learn. Choice has no meaning here. You are hers, whether you wish it or not." The girl struggled against the guards, tears streaking her face. "No. He saved me, he fought for me, he is not a prisoner, he is my protector." Her words rang out across the cavern, silencing even the guards for a moment. But the elder struck his staff against the ground, his face twisted with fury. "Silence," he roared. "The ritual will be completed this night, before the eyes of all, and the bond will be sealed in blood." The human's chest burned with anger, his arms straining against the guard's grip. He shouted, "This isn't a bond, it's slavery." But his voice was drowned out by the echo of the staff. The guards dragged them back through the tunnels, the bridge collapsing behind them as if the path of escape itself had betrayed them. The girl's shoulders slumped, but her eyes still held fire. She whispered to him, "Do not give up, not yet, there is still a way." He looked at her, confused but clinging to her words. Back in the great hall, the crowd waited, their glowing eyes hungry for the ritual. The human was thrown to the ground, chains binding his arms once more. The girl was forced into a ceremonial dress, white as bone, her hands shaking as the elder raised the staff. The drums began to beat again, slow and deep. Hook, as the elder lifted a blade to begin the blood bond. The girl cried out before all, "I will not bind to him in chains, I will bind only by choice." The great hall trembled with the beat of the drums. The elder stood tall, his staff glowing as he raised the ritual blade high. The human knelt in chains, his chest rising and falling with fury. Beside him, the alien girl stood in the white ceremonial dress, her silver hair glowing in the firelight, her lips pressed into a firm line. The crowd leaned forward, eager to see the bond sealed. The elder's voice boomed, "By blood and law, they shall be bound forever, no choice, no escape." But before the blade could fall, the girl's voice rang out, sharp and clear, "I refuse." The hall gasped as one. Her cry cut through the drums, through the chants, through the centuries of silence. "I will not bind by law, I will not bind by chains," she shouted, her silver eyes blazing. "If I must bond, it will be by my choice, and my choice alone." The elder's face twisted with rage. "You dare defy the law?" he thundered, striking his staff against the stone. "You shame your people before the spirits, you doom us all." But whispers stirred through the crowd, young voices questioning, old voices trembling. The human felt his chest tighten, hope flickering in his heart. Her courage was breaking through the fear, sparking something in those who watched. One young alien in the crowd shouted, "She speaks truth. Why must we bind without choice?" Another voice joined, then another, until murmurs swelled into a wave. The elder roared, "Silence!" But the people did not stop. They had seen the girl fight, they had seen the human protect her, they saw not shame, but strength, not weakness, but freedom. The guards tightened their grip on the human, sensing the tension growing. Then the elder raised the blade again, his voice shaking with fury. "If the bond will not be sealed in unity, then it will be sealed in death." He lunged toward the girl, the blade flashing in the firelight. The crowd reamed, but before the strike could land, the human roared and pulled. With a cry that shook his body, the chains snapped, the glowing bands shattered as if broken by will alone. He leapt forward, knocking the elder's blade aside, his body shielding the girl. The hall erupted into chaos, guards rushing, the crowd shouting. The elder stumbled back, his face twisted in shock. "No human can break the chains," he hissed. "It is impossible." But the human stood tall, his chest heaving, his voice like thunder. "Nothing is impossible when you fight for freedom." The younger aliens surged forward, pushing against the guards. Some shouted for choice, others cried for the end of the law. The elder's staff glowed brighter, his fury shaking the very walls. But for the first time, his power did not silence the people. The girl stood beside the human, her hand gripping his, her voice rose above the noise, strong and clear. "Look at him. He broke the chains no one else could, not with magic, but with will, with heart. He is not my prison, he is my protector." The crowd roared in answer, the wave of revolt finally breaking. The guards faltered, torn between loyalty to the elder and the cries of their people. The elder raised his staff for one final strike, but the human stepped forward, his eyes blazing. "This ends tonight," he growled. "No more chains, no more forced bonds." The hall shook as power clashed with will. The elder's staff crackled with energy, the human's fists clenched with raw strength, and in that storm of fire and fury, the people themselves began to rise. The revolt had begun, and the old law trembled on the edge of collapse. Hook, as the elder's staff fell toward him, the human caught it in his bare hands. The glow sputtered, and for the first time in history, the sacred staff cracked. The crack of the elder's staff echoed through the hall like thunder. Every alien froze as pieces of the sacred staff fell to the floor, glowing faintly before fading into dust. The human stood tall, his hands still trembling from the force. The elder staggered back, his eyes wide with disbelief. "It cannot be broken," the elder whispered, his voice shaking. "The staff has never failed." But the human's voice cut through the silence, strong and steady. "Your chains are not sacred, they are lies, and lies can always be broken." The crowd erupted, voices rising in chaos. Some cried in fear, others in wonder, but most in anger. Anger at centuries of being trapped under false law. The guards looked to the elder for command, but his broken staff offered no power now. The people surged forward, shouting for freedom, shouting for choice. The alien girl stepped beside the human, her silver hair shining in the firelight. She raised her hands, her voice firm. "You see now, the spirits never demanded this bond. It was the elders, they caged us in their rules, but no more." Her words washed over the hall like fire, igniting courage. The elder tried to speak, his voice cracking. "You foolish child, without the bond, without the law, our people will fall into chaos." But a younger alien shouted back, "Better chaos with choice than order in chains." The hall roared in agreement, shaking the very pillars. The human looked at the girl, his chest tight. He had never meant to be part of this, but now he stood in the center of a storm that could change her entire world. Her eyes met his, soft but filled with fire. "Human, after all this, do you hate me for dragging you into it?" He shook his head slowly, a faint smile breaking through his tired face. "No. I don't hate you, because you gave me something too. You showed me that freedom is worth fighting for." Her breath caught, her hand trembling slightly as she whispered, "Then, if you must bond, let it be by choice, not by chains." The human's heart pounded, the weight of the moment pressing on him. Around them, the people waited, watching, listening. He stepped closer, his voice carrying across the hall. "If there must be a bond, then I choose it freely, not because of fear, not because of law, but because I see her strength, and I will stand with her." The crowd erupted again, this time in cheers. The elder fell to his knees. Powerless, the young aliens raised their fists, their voices chanting, "Choice! Choice! Choice!" And for the first time in generations, the law of chains began to crumble. The girl's eyes shone with tears, her voice soft but clear. Then so be it, I choose you too. Her hand slipped into his, warm and steady, and though no blood was spilled, no ritual completed, the bond between them was stronger than any law. The human lifted their joined hands high. To the people, he cried, no more chains, no more lies, we make our own path. The cheer that followed shook the entire palace, a sound of rebirth. The flames in the hall seemed to burn brighter, as if even the spirits approved. The elder was dragged away, his broken staff left in the dust. The guards no longer looked to him, their loyalty shifting to the will of the people. The girl leaned close, her whisper reaching only him. This is not the end, human, this is only the beginning, but whatever comes next, we face it together. Hook, as the crowd celebrated, a shadow moved at the edge of the hall, another elder, cloaked in black, watching with cold eyes, and whispering, the law may break, but the old ways will return. The great hall still echoed with the voices of the people, their chants of freedom rolled like thunder, shaking the stone walls that had once held silence and fear. The humans stood with the alien girl, their hands clasped tightly, the broken pieces of the sacred staff scattered at their feet. For the first time, the chains around them felt truly gone. The elder who had ruled so long was dragged away, his power broken, but the crowd did not follow him, their eyes were fixed on the pair standing in the center, some with awe, some with tears, but all with the knowledge that something greater had just begun. The law of chains, the law of forced bonds, was dead. The alien girl raised her voice, calm but strong, no more shall we be bound by fear, no more shall choice be stolen from us, she declared. The people roared in agreement, many falling to their knees, not in worship, but in relief. The human's chest swelled, not with pride for himself, but for her courage to stand against her own people's law. When the hall quieted, she turned to him, her silver eyes soft but filled with light. Human, we have broken the chains, but freedom is not easy, it will not be given, we must defend it every day. He nodded, his grip firm on her hand. Then we'll face it together. I didn't come here to lead anyone, but I won't walk away now. Outside, the city stirred with new voices. Families stepped from their homes, young aliens shouted in the streets, old ones wept as if waking from a long dream. The news spread quickly, the law was broken, the bond would no longer be forced, and the story of the human who shattered the chains carried like fire through the night. But not all eyes were joyful. In the shadows of the hall, a cloaked figure slipped away, his voice a whisper in the dark. The people may cheer now, but the old ways do not die so easily. Though the law had been broken, danger still lingered. Later, when the night grew quiet, the human and the girl stood on the palace balcony. The stars shone above them, strange and bright, not like earth but beautiful in their own way. She leaned against the stone rail, her silver hair catching the starlight. I thought I would die in chains, she admitted softly. I never dreamed someone would fight for me. He looked at her, his voice steady. I didn't fight because I had to. I fought because no one deserves to live without choice, not you, not anyone. Her eyes glistened with tears, but her smile was real this time. You could have chosen to hate me, but instead you chose to stand with me. He stepped closer, their hands meeting again. Then let this bond be real, not because of law, not because of fear, but because we both want it. Her voice trembled, but it was filled with hope. Yes, I choose you, freely. And so, under the strange alien stars, the bond was sealed, not in blood, not in chains, but in choice. It was a new kind of bond, one that even the spirits themselves could not deny. The human realized then that his mistake, one forbidden glance, had led not to his end, but to the beginning of forever, a future where both human and alien could stand side by side, not as prisoners, but as equals. The city behind them glowed with new life, the people slowly learning what freedom meant. And though shadows of old ways still lingered, there was no turning back. The human and the girl would walk into tomorrow together, bound not by chains, but by love. And in the silence of the night, she whispered with a smile, oh yes, maybe fate wanted this after all. Closing tease. Far away, in the darkness of the mountains, a council of hidden elders lit their fires, their voices whispering, the bond is broken, but the war for the future has only begun.